Have you ever just stopped and wondered, is there some kind of hidden rule to the universe? A single pattern that connects everything, I mean everything, from a star to your own brain? Well, turns out there might be. Let's get into it.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. What on earth could a star, a diamond, and your own brain possibly have in common? I mean, they seem about as different as you can get, right?
Okay, so the first piece of the puzzle is they all evolve. Simple as that. They aren't just things, they're processes. But, that's not quite the whole story.
This is the really crucial bit. Their evolution isn't random. It's not just chaos. It actually has a direction. They start out simple, and they get more and more complex over time, more organized.
And this right here, this is the big idea. There seems to be one single hidden law that's pushing this complexity forward everywhere. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
So scientists have actually been noticing this for a while. They even gave it a name, saying that complex systems gain functional information over time, which is just a fancy way of saying they get better at doing stuff. They knew what was happening, but they had no idea why. What was the engine driving it all?
Well, the answer is kind of hiding in plain sight. When you zoom in or zoom out on pretty much anything, what do you see? Networks. Everything is a network. Atoms connecting, neurons firing, it's all just nodes and connections. And the cool thing is, networks follow certain rules.
Okay, rule number one, networks make leaps. They don't just inch along. When things are just right, they hit a tipping point and bam, a whole new, more complex pattern just snaps into place. It's just like water freezing. One moment it's a jumbled mess of molecules, the next, it's a perfectly ordered crystal of ice.
And here's where it gets really cool. Once these new patterns form, they can be super stable. I mean, think about a diamond. It takes an insane amount of pressure to create one, but once it's made, it's a diamond. That complexity gets locked in. It sticks around.
This right here, this is the absolute key. Those stable patterns, they don't just sit there. They become the new building blocks. The source material calls it the substrate for the next level of complexity. Atoms become the substrate for molecules. Molecules become the substrate for cells. You see? Each new layer is built on top of the last one.
So, you take those three rules, you put them together, and what do you get? You get this amazing one-way engine of creation. The name for it is the substrate ratchet. And it's called a ratchet for a reason. It can only click forward, always towards more complexity.
So let's walk through how this works. Step 1. A new stable pattern emerges. Step 2. That new pattern gets thrown into the pile of available building blocks, the substrate. Now you've got a bigger, more interesting pile of blocks to play with. So, Step 3. Even more complex stuff can emerge. It's a feedback loop. Complexity creates the tools for even more complexity.
And the whole thing works because of this simple asymmetry. Like the quote says, it's easy to add substrate, but hard to remove it. Think about it. Once something like DNA or the wheel exists, it's out there. It's part of the world's toolkit. It's way easier to invent something new than it is to make everyone forget it. That's the click of the ratchet.
All right, so that's the theory. And if it's right, we should see the same exact pattern playing out, well, everywhere. And guess what? We do. The evidence is just everywhere you look. Let's check some of it out.
Okay, take minerals on Earth. Their evolution isn't some slow, steady climb. It's a series of massive leaps, and every single leap happens right after the substrate. The available ingredients gets bigger. Water shows up on the planet. Boom, hundreds of new minerals become possible. Then life starts pumping out oxygen. Boom, thousands more pop into existence. It's a perfect match.
And this chart just nails the point home. It's what makes this theory so powerful. It makes predictions. Why does Earth have almost 6,000 types of minerals, while Mars and the Moon are basically stuck in the past? It's simple. On those worlds, the process of adding new substrate, liquid water, plate tectonics, stalled out. The ratchet stopped clicking. No new ingredients, no new minerals.
And it's the exact same story with the elements in stars. The universe starts with a super simple substrate, just hydrogen and helium. The first stars cook that stuff into carbon and oxygen. Then those elements become the substrate for the next generation of stars, which explode and create even heavier stuff. See the pattern? Each layer becomes the foundation for the next.
It just keeps going. Biology, you don't get brains until you have multicellular animals. Technology, you don't get a computer without first having electricity. You don't get electricity without first mastering metallurgy. The rule is just, you cannot skip steps.
You need the substrate from the previous layer, period.
Okay, let's pause here, because this is where this whole thing goes from a cool science idea to something really personal. This whole process, this ratchet of complexity, isn't just happening out there in space. It's happening right here, in us. Because what is a brain, if not a network? What are your ideas, if not a network of concepts?
So we have this view of ourselves, right? That we're this fixed thing, this me. But what if that's not right? What if you aren't a thing at all, but a process? A stable pattern that's constantly rebuilding itself from the substrate of your own life, your experiences, your skills, your memories. You are literally ratcheting yourself into a more complex being every single day.
And this completely changes how you think about intelligence. It's not some magical spark that only humans have. It's something all complex systems have to do. It's the simple act of figuring out what substrate you depend on and then working to make sure you don't lose it. A cell does it. A society does it. That's intelligence.
Which brings us to probably the most powerful line in the whole idea. The substrate ratchet isn't just happening to us, we are it, happening. This whole thing, this cosmic law, it's not just some story about stars and minerals. We are the process. We are this engine of creation in real time.
So if you are the process, if every idea you have and every action you take is adding to the substrate of the world, that leaves just one question, doesn't it? What will you build next?